Ya, ya, makanannya udah. Ya.
Iya, kakak gawat banget mau 100.000. Ya Allah. Hah? Bisa gratis gitu? Hotel.
Poin dari itunya kan kalau misalnya daftar, kalau misalnya menggunakan daftar tuh mana poinnya terlalu lama.
Oh, bisa gratis ya? Oh, itu masih banyak dong. Kamu tukang cari itu ya? Selah-selah itu ya? Gimana? Tapi, oh, kamu kuliahnya hati juga nih. Oh, kamu kuliahnya hati juga. Wah, ada.
Gini aja.
Anies kemudian berangkat ke sebuah tempat
Why are Hindus from Sindh fleeing Pakistan? The right stand on CNN News 18. News is about stories, not about shouting matches or talking heads. We're putting the news back where it belongs. No debates, no bias, just the news. Helping you cut through the clutter. Brass Tacks, weeknights at 9:25.
A trucker fined 1,40,000 rupees.
We are not interested to increase the revenue of the government. We want to protect the life of the people. Why to have this kind of a media trial?
Don't blame the media for everything. We are just reporting a story. Why didn't the public prosecutor push for this evidence which went viral, coming to this conclusion that no one killed Pehlu Khan?
Article 317 is absolutely an internal matter of our country.
We go where the news is. News Epicenter. At these times on CNN News 18. Amidst the cacophony of screaming studio spokespersons, one man is about to change all that. A veteran of covering 6 general elections and every assembly election in India, he has brought all major stories to your living room for over 20 years. Now, Bhupendra Chaubey is coming to you live in your city. A show where you will be the only voice. Viewpoint through the eyes of India's citizens. Weekdays at 5:57 p.m.
We are here to take the right stand on CNN News 18. If somebody is squatting on my territory and play a proxy war game, I'm going to swat this person out of my territory and claim my land back. Personal friends of mine who are Sindhis, who are Sardars, who are Marwadis, who live in Chennai, speak Tamil. So that is not the issue. The issue is, sir, your brand of politics thrives on creating this language divide. Why are Hindus from Sindh fleeing Pakistan? The right stand.
Welcome back. You're watching the morning news with me, Uday Singh Rana. Controversy followed the 250th session of the upper house yesterday after Rajya Sabha marshals turned up in new military-style uniforms instead of their usual traditional attire. The members of the house were caught by surprise by this change, with the Congress raising objections to the military-like uniform and asked if a martial law had been imposed. Former Army Chief VP Malik also disapproved of the changes, calling the similarity illegal and a security hazard. BJP MP Rajiv Chandrasekhar too was taken aback and said that he will take this issue up with the Vice President's Secretariat. Sources tell CNN News 18 that the design of the uniform was finalized after consultation with the National Institute of Design. Alright, so you see those images on your screens there of the new uniforms of the Rajya Sabha marshals. They used to wear the traditional Indian attire along with the pagdi, but now that seems to have given way to a military-style uniform. And controversy followed this 250th session of the upper house after the marshals turned up in their new uniforms. Now, many members of the house were caught by surprise by this change, especially the Congress party, which raised objections to the military-like uniform. In fact, they even asked if martial law had been imposed in the Rajya Sabha. Former Army Chief General VP Malik was also among those who expressed his disapproval of these changes. He said that the similarity was in fact illegal. He also raised a very important point. He said that this would raise a security hazard, this would lead to a security hazard and cause a lot of confusion. BJP MP Rajiv Chandrasekhar also was taken aback. It wasn't just opposition MPs. The BJP MP, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, was also taken aback by this change in uniform, and he said that he would actually raise this issue with the Secretariat of the Vice President of India. Sources are also telling CNN News 18 that the design of the uniform was finalized after consultation with the National Institute of Design, or the NID. So let's go across now to my colleague Arunima, who's joining us live in the broadcast. Very good morning to you, Arunima. You know, I too was quite confused when I saw the traditional uniform of the Rajya Sabha marshals giving way to some military-style uniform. In fact, someone even joked saying, "Has a coup taken place in the Rajya Sabha?" There's a lot of understandable confusion around this change in uniform, isn't there?
More than confusion, I think people are like just shocked. They're not used to seeing military-style uniform inside the Parliament complex. A lot of members of Parliament, including Jairam Ramesh, who voiced his concerns on the floor of Rajya Sabha, but they were not really appreciated by the chair. Venkaiah Naidu, Vice President, Chairman of Rajya Sabha, was in the chair at that time, and he said, "Don't raise insignificant issues in a significant hour." That's his exact line that he told Jairam Ramesh. Outside of the House, a number of other MPs from the opposition ranks, DMK, NCP, and even Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who's part of the NDA, they have expressed their concerns. They have said that this doesn't seem right. But the background that we are given by officials in the Rajya Sabha Secretariat is that the marshals themselves felt that their attire of the Indian attire of the safa and the white bandgala needed a change. They wanted something more modern. And that suggestion was approved of by the Rajya Sabha Secretariat. They tell us that the marshals themselves have designed this outfit, but they consulted the National Institute of Design, and the entire look, we're told, has two versions. One, the winter version, which you are seeing navy blue in color, military style. The other one for summers is white in color. So if this continues, if this tradition continues, this uniform continues, you might see another version in perhaps the monsoon session of Parliament.
You know, Aruma, one is of course the argument that just because some attire is traditional does not mean that it cannot go with modern times. But other than that, you know, General VP Malik, the former army chief, has raised a very important point. He says this will lead to confusion and is in fact a security hazard as well.
It is, and there are very specific laws, there are very specific rules which bar non-military personnel from wearing a military uniform. It's a violation of the rules and the code of conduct. And if you see the uniform, even though the color is not olive green, it's blue. The peak cap, the lagarde, which is the golden tassel that is hanging, even the stripes. There's a deputy marshal and there's a marshal who stands next to the chair, and if you see the stripes and the star on their shoulder, even that is very has very uncanny similarity with the rank that we see in the Indian Army. So the concern that the Indian Army brass is raising is that this is a complete violation of the existing code of conduct, existing rules. The Rajya Sabha Secretariat has argued that before this uniform was finalized, they looked at what marshals wear in various state assemblies. While they did not give us the names of the state assemblies where they consulted, I think if you do a simple Google search, you'll see that in Karnataka, for example, there's a white uniform, something similar to what these people are wearing. But the Indian Army veterans are taking a lot of objection. The peak cap, the lagarde, like I said, the overall, the first look itself tells you as if some military personnel is standing next to the chair. That's something that the veterans are not appreciating at all.
And the confusion is quite understandable. Stay on with us, Arunima, because we're also tracking other stories coming out of Parliament, and we'll need your input for the next story. After weeks of Delhi choking and gasping in the toxic air, the Lok Sabha is finally set to have a discussion on pollution today at 2 p.m. The discussion will be initiated by Congress's Manish Tiwari and BJD's Pinaki Mishra. Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar will later give his reply in the House. The discussion comes after severe criticism faced by several members of Parliament who did not attend a meeting of the parliamentary panel on pollution last Friday. Let's go back now to Arunima, who continues to join us from outside Parliament. Arunima, you know, a lot of lawmakers had drawn a lot of flack after dragging their feet on the issue of pollution. Weeks after Delhi started suffering under this smog, this oppressive smog, finally Parliament is now taking up this issue. Too little, too late, or about time?
I'm not even sure if this too little too late business will also help me breathe easy. Yes, I can see the sun out, but the air quality is still very poor. And some of the newspaper headlines, if you see, Delhi air quality improves to very poor. That itself tells you the joke that the North Indian citizens have become for our parliamentarians. Even yesterday, Manoj Tiwari took a cycle to cycle down to Parliament. He attacked Arvind Kejriwal over the water quality. Arvind Kejriwal hit back saying this is pure politics. Ramvilas Paswan's ministry is deliberately trying to discredit the Delhi government. So on water, on air, all that matters is hitting each other politically. On the ground, will this discussion that happens in Parliament lead to you and I breathing any easy? I'm not sure. But at least the highest, legislative body in the country is going to discuss the issues, point out the problem to the government, and one just hopes because this is not a Delhi problem. This is a North India problem. Even the focus is on the national capital. The situation is as bad in other cities like Lucknow, for example. Or if you go to any other city in Haryana, in Punjab, the situation is as bad. This is a North India problem. So for all these legislators, all these MPs together discuss this, will it help the government coordinate better with the other states? Will it help you and me and other North Indian people breathe easy? That is something we are all hopeful of. But let's wait and see.
You know,
Konstruksi jembatan melengkung LRT.
Happy hour di Pizza Hut. Beli satu, gratis satu.
For 5 decades, Chagos Islanders have preserved their culture in exile, and are now escalating their struggle to return home. But their fate still lies in the hands of their colonizers. Another Paradise, a witness documentary on Al Jazeera.
It is impossible to overstate the mental scarring of the survivors of Shul. Peter lived in their home until the age of 4, when the nuns sold him on to a violent family. By that time, he'd lost his sister. She, like nearly 800 others, had her name recorded in a death register.
For a Catholic organization to put bodies in here, they were baptized, yet to put them in their own consecrated grounds. Savages, that's what they were.
Campaigners think the government is so frightened of the damage to the church that a full excavation would do that it is resisting it. So, they're threatening court action.
I think the only way in which this will be resolved is through an order of the superior courts of this country. I can't see any other way, because there is no will, there's no wish, there's no appetite. Church and state in this country are still wedded in a poisonous pact.
An inspiring quest for knowledge that led to remarkable achievements. Al Jazeera World meets the Algerian entrepreneur who helped pioneer computing in the Arabic language, and the Egyptian Islamic scholar honored for his contribution to Arab culture, both building successful lives abroad, but never forgetting their roots. Arabs Abroad, the translator and the innovator on Al Jazeera.
We've now declared that settlements are not per se illegal under international law.
The US upends its stance on Jewish settlements, drawing praise from Israelis and outrage from Palestinians. Hello, I'm Martine Dennis. You're with Al Jazeera live from Doha. Also coming up, Hong Kong's leader urges police to take a humane approach to dealing with protesters who were holed up inside a university campus. South Korea confirms 2 of 3 vessels seized by Yemen's Houthi rebels in the Red Sea are theirs. And food and fuel run short in Bolivian cities as supporters of former President Evo Morales cut off supplies. Now, the US has abandoned its decades-old position on Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank, saying it'll no longer consider them illegal. This latest pro-Israel move puts the US at odds with most of the international community and the UN Security Council. Rosalind Jordan reports from Washington.
For 41 years, the U.S. has called Israeli settlements built in the occupied West Bank illegal under international law. That U.S. policy changed on Monday.
Calling the establishment of civilian settlements inconsistent with international law hasn't worked. It hasn't advanced the cause of peace. This is a complex political problem that can only be solved by negotiations between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Pompeo's announcement is the latest in a string of controversial White House moves designed to support Israel, recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's official capital, moving the U.S. embassy there from Tel Aviv in 2018, and forcing the Palestinians to close their office in Washington, leaving them no diplomatic presence in the U.S. apart from at the United Nations. Pompeo said the policy change had nothing to do with Benny Gantz's efforts to form a new Israeli government.
So the timing of this was not tied to anything that had to do with domestic politics anywhere in Israel or otherwise. This was about we were done, we finished, we'd conducted our review, and this was the appropriate time to move forward.
The current Israeli government was thrilled.
This is a historic day and another great achievement after President Trump recognized Jerusalem as the capital, recognized our sovereignty over Golan Heights, and now put an end to the lie that settlements are illegal.
Condemnation from Jordan and from Hamas. We warn against dangerous consequences of the U.S. change of position, the continuation of U.S. policy to support occupation. And from the Palestinian leadership, not just anger, but also a call to action.
That's pro-Israel's occupation, pro-Israel war crimes. This is constitute a major threat to international peace and security. And this is turning the international community from the rules of international law, the rules of solving conflicts by peaceful means, into the rules of the jungle.
The European Union and many other countries say the settlements violate UN Security Council resolutions and undermine the chances of a two-state solution. But even with what the U.S. says are the hopes of renewed peace talks, the embassy has issued a security warning, knowing some could target American interests in Israel and the occupied territories in protest. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And Israel says it's intercepted 4 rockets that were fired from Syria towards the occupied Golan Heights. Warning sirens were heard around the Golan Heights as the rockets were downed by Israel's Iron Dome air defenses. Israel's occupied the Syrian territory since 1967. Meanwhile, Syria's state-run news agencies reporting explosions have been heard near Damascus airport. No other details have been reported so far, and of course we'll bring you any more information on those incidents as soon as we get it. Now, airstrikes have killed at least 7 people and injured more than 30 others in southern areas of Libya's capital. According to government sources, the warlord Khalifa Haftar's drones